welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us for this launch of the OECD Observatory on the use of digital technologies in career guidance for young people. Please find a seat, make yourself comfortable. We have lots of people we're expecting today, so it'd be good to know who we have here. So feel free to say hello, as Anthony Tong is already doing. Say hello in the chat and tell us where you're from. And we're very happy to have you here. Now, we are delighted to see so many of you here because today is the conclusion of a year's work here at the OECD. We're really not alone in recognizing that opportunity and necessity have combined to increase these digital resources in career technology and career guidance. But we've been fortunate in having support from the JP Morgan Chase Foundation to have capacity to provide some new support for the global guidance community and making best use of these resources. And so over the last year, we've been speaking with dozens of policymakers, researchers, practitioners about what's going to be useful, what's needed in this world. And in talking to people from across the OECD community, we've been very clear that digital resources can make guidance more effective, more efficient, more equitable for young people. But it was clear that also that in order to do so, we need to be able to understand what's possible. We need to be able to compare approaches. We need to be able to learn from each other. We need to become more informed consumers and users of technologies. And we also need to understand how they can best be combined with traditional face-to-face approaches to guidance. And so in these discussions, we heard too about the need for a resource which could be continually updated and was guidance driven in its design. So today you're going to see the observatory for the first time, and you will see that our approach here aligns very closely with our research insights. The work which we've done, the analysis which we've undertaken on longitudinal data sets in 10 countries, which evidence better than ever before what works in career guidance. Now, the observatory, as the name implies, is going to give you an overview of how the world of guidance is changing because of new technologies. And we decided to give it the name of Odyssey because as we developed the resource, we continually thought of Homer's Odyssey. And I want to thank John Diaz on the team for his connection here, because I don't know if you remember the story of Odysseus. He knew where he wanted to go, and we know where we want to go. We want digital technologies to substantially enhance the quality and quantity of guidance available. So we know where we want to go, but we're not completely sure about how we're going to get there. And we know that there's risks along the way, but if we work together as a global community, our progress will be quicker. So consequently, we're enormously thankful to all of those, including our national contact points, the submitters of case studies and the people we spoke to and worked with us, who've helped us and are helping us along the way. This is a real collaborative venture. And today, what you're going to get? Well, today, you're going to have a tour of the new observatory. I'm going to show you what it does. And you'll hear from the developers of 4 very different resources from 4 different countries. And these are resources featured on the site and give you a taste of what you can expect. And there's going to be opportunity for your questions and comments. We're going to take those at the end. So please make sure you make use of the chat function, and I'll keep an eye on that. And I'll be the chair when we get into the discussion. And we'll make sure that your questions and comments are given to our different presenters. But first, though, as we begin, I'd like to go over to the head of the OECD Directorate for Education and Skills, Andreas Schleicher. And he would have loved to have been here today. Unfortunately, he can't be, but he wants to say a few words about the importance of the observatory to him.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. These days, career guidance is waking up to the digital world that is radically changing learning and the world around us. So today we will introduce you to the OECD Observatory on the use of digital technologies in career guidance for youth. This observatory helps policymakers and also practitioners in career guidance to make best use of digital technologies and resources. In the observatory, you can see how teams from around the world are making use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, of virtual reality and of other technologies to change the ways in which guidance is delivered in schools. You'll also learn from global experts on how those new technologies can best be leveraged to achieve good outcomes for youth. And there's a reason for launching that now. ChatGPT has shown that the pace of innovation is rapid and that its implications are just profound. Add to that the COVID pandemic, which has driven much change in the area of career guidance. It's been a tough period, but it's also been a time of extraordinary innovation, technological innovation, social innovation. And both, they're very much needed in career guidance. But, while governments, schools, companies and charities around the world are driving new approaches, there's actually been little scientific evaluation around that. So the observatory will bring together practice in a structured and scientifically evaluated way and help us all learn from each other. Digital technologies hold the promise of making career guidance more effective, more efficient and more equitable. But we need to ensure that the benefits of virtual engagements are properly understood and how they can best be blended with the very important face-to-face provision. And this is an important time for career guidance. The OECD's work has shown that traditional career guidance can significantly enhance the employment and future prospects of young people. We know that it works, and we know how it works much better than ever before. We know too that the need for effective guidance grows as the world of work changes, becomes more complex in response to the very same engines of digitalization that we're here to discuss. Data from our PISA surveys show that in many countries, too few students currently have access to sufficient good guidance. Often, for example, it's provided too late in a student's school life. The most important career decisions students do not make, when they graduate from school, but much earlier when they decide on the value and relevance of different learning opportunities and how they will engage in them. That's when the world of work needs to be visible to young people. If you have never met a scientist, why would you study hard in math or science? You cannot be what you cannot see. Good guidance begins young and is an integral part of school life. Digital resources can help deepen and broaden the delivery of guidance, but they always need to be of high quality. With the observatory, we will work with countries to help turn the new possibilities of technologies into trusted tools that ultimately will help students go through education informed, but also confident about their future plans. Last but not least, let me acknowledge the many contributors to this observatory. And by sharing their practice, by sharing their insights, we enter into a global dialogue that benefits all of us. And my special thanks to the JP Morgan Chase Foundation for its generous support and also vision in supporting the creation of this observatory. I'm sure everyone attending today will find much value in the new resource as it grows, over the next months and years. Thank you.
Excellent. So it's great to hear from Andreas, who's the head of the Directorate for Education here at the OECD, and the importance he sees for this observatory. And in a moment, we're going to give you the tour. We're going to open the doors and show you around. But before we do, we're going to ask you to do a bit of work. We're going to ask you some questions. And that's helpful for us to give a sense. We've got nearly 500 people here. It's great to have so many people. So we're going to do a little poll, a survey. I'm going to ask you a few questions to gather a bit of feedback from you, kind of the community who we hope to serve in this way. So can we put the poll questions up? I'm not seeing them. We've got 3 questions. They're really good questions. You're going to enjoy answering them. Here's the first one. Oh, it was there and then it disappeared. Who would have thought that in a launch event for the opening of a new observatory, we'd have a technical problem? Anyway, so I hope you can all see them now. So we've got 3 questions, and you're going to be able to scroll down. Those of you who are on Zoom with us will see them and going to be able to vote. If you're on Facebook Live, you won't see these, but I'm going to read them out, and you can put into the chat what your responses would be. So firstly, the first question is, just thinking about how career guidance is changing, which new digital technologies do you find most exciting? So I'm going to give you some choices here. Which of these digital technologies do you think are most exciting in terms of how career guidance can get still better? You know, artificial intelligence, or augmented reality, gaming, the metaverse, social media, virtual reality, or perhaps something else. So if you're with us on Zoom, please make your vote. If you're on Facebook Live, let's see what you've got to say. So we're saying artificial intelligence, augmented reality, gaming, the metaverse, social media, or virtual reality. Okay, so I'm going to the second question now. And here we're thinking about things from a guidance perspective more. So which of these uses of digital technologies, question number 2, which of these uses of digital technologies do you think will be most useful in your country? Now, is it about accessing information? Is it about connecting schools with employers? Is it about e-mentoring? Is it about managing guidance systems? Is it about virtual work placements? Is it about self-assessments for students? Or could it be for something else? We'll just pick some of these areas we see most popular innovations happening. I'll read those again for people on Facebook Live. Accessing information, connecting schools with employers, e-mentoring, managing career guidance systems, virtual work placements or self-assessments. And then question number 3, the last of our 3 questions. This is for you, our audience. How confident are you about your ability to make good use of your technologies in career guidance? So are you very confident? Are you quite confident? Are you not very confident? Are you not at all confident? It's really want a snapshot of where people are. So how confident are you about your ability to make good use of digital technologies in career guidance? Very confident, quite confident, not very confident, not at all confident. So I hope everybody on Zoom has had a chance to vote. We're going to close the poll in 5 seconds. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's close, and then we'll be able to see what our results are. All right. Oh, okay. So question number 1. Wow, we have a winner. Perhaps this is because we're in the era of Chat GPT, but 49% of our audience, we've got over 300 votes here, are saying artificial intelligence is the technology which is most exciting. And we have a presentation on artificial intelligence later on today, but also, you know, kind of strong interest in other areas. Virtual reality, and we'll be hearing about that as well, 15%, 16%, augmented reality, 11%, gaming, social media, and then the metaphors. And only 1% is saying something else. So I think perhaps we're kind of in the right areas and thinking about these technologies. And then when we look at question number 2, about which uses of these technologies do you think will be most useful? We have quite a broad spread here, and that's as we think it will be, that the technologies themselves can be of value across the range of different aspects of guidance. And so simply accessing information, which is perhaps the most traditional way that digital technologies are used, 20%, but managing career guidance systems, really important, some really interesting, we've got some great cases around that on the website. But virtual work placements, I'm going to be hearing about that as well, you know, while we're here, 17%. And then we have connecting schools with employers, our very top answer of 21%. And we've got some nice examples on the observatory about that. But I think that speaks to our understanding that there's a good spread. And then how confident are you? Well, we've got a well-informed audience here. 21% are very confident, 54% quite confident, 22% are not very confident, and 2%, which was probably me a year ago, is not at all confident. So thank you so much for those votes. That's really helpful. You know, get a sense of where you are and your interests. I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Alison Burke, who is the face and the leader of the observatory.
Many thanks, Anthony. So many thanks, and thank you to all that have joined us today. I have the absolute privilege of introducing the OECD Observatory on Digital Technologies in Career Guidance for Youth, better known as Odyssey. Odyssey is an open access repository on the use of digital technologies in school career guidance around the world. At the heart of Odyssey is a searchable library of easy to access case studies that give us insights on the development and use of technologies in career guidance, just as you've given your opinions on. We are going to be talking to authors of 4 case studies today, as Anthony said, as they walk us through their programs. In addition to these case studies, there are research, policy papers, videos, and blogs all on this topic. While we are launching Odyssey today, it is built to be an evolving repository as more and more case studies from around the world are submitted and as technologies continue to develop. This makes Odyssey an incredibly powerful resource as it gives us access to up-to-date examples of practice and helps us to learn from each other. The case studies outline a summary of the resource, a description of the technology, as well as describing how the resource makes career guidance more effective, efficient, and/or equitable for students. Now, before I tell you a little bit more about the case studies and the structure, I thought it would be a good idea to walk you through Odyssey. Welcome to the OECD Observatory on Digital Technologies in Career Guidance for Youth. I'm going to walk you through the homepage and show you some of the features here on the site, but if you would like to follow the link in the chat or in the comments, that would be great as well. So we're really excited that Odyssey is a repository that is evolving. What you can see is if you're a developer or a user of digital tools in career guidance in schools, we do invite you to submit a case study, and maybe after you've read a few of the case studies, you can see that you have an interesting practice that you would like the OECD to include. So the link is there for you. What we have is we have featured content. Featured content is a quick look at what is new and what is interesting on Odyssey, as well as some information in terms of how does it work, so how we've structured this based on the career readiness indicators. There is also a link to discover research and policy papers, blogs and videos. At the bottom of the homepage, we have our browse and search our content. This is similar to what you would see on other websites. There is an ability to search for something. So say you're looking for virtual reality, you can have a look at virtual and see what is available. If you're not quite sure what you're looking for, you can also sort by date or by title. And this will give you different views of all of the case studies that are available. On the left here we have filters. The first filter is by career development type. So you can choose something that you might be interested in terms of, say, career talks and job fairs. You might be interested in mentoring, and you can have a click on that and that will show you the different case studies related to that topic. There's also filter by technology. This will continue to grow, but interestingly you can tick on one of the filters and 2 of the filters and it will do the double filter, so ones that cover both social media and video streaming will be shown. There's a filter by age group. Remember, this is career guidance in schools, and so if you are a practitioner working in a particular area, you might be interested in what's going on in primary schools, for instance, and what's available. So that's an interesting filter. And then the last filter is by country, and this is the country that the programs are being used in. We have more coming, and so more countries, more technologies and more career developments will be shown. What you can do is that you can find out some information about them, but if you're interested, so let's say we want to look for school. If you're interested in a particular case study, you can go through and say, oh, my life after school, enabling transitions into work. That looks interesting. And you can click on that link and that will take you to the case study page. On the case study page, there's a similar structure for each case study. There's a summary, a resource overview, which includes a link, as well as a description of the technology. You can see on the right here the information that we were just talking about, so career development, age group, technology and country, as well as other information about the program and how it's being used. As you scroll down, you'll see how the resource makes career guidance more effective, efficient and or equitable for students, some challenges or potential barriers to use, and any support for users. We also have additional details about how the resource has been informed by research, funded by government, recognised by peers, and or evaluated. This information, this structure is the same for each of the case studies and really hopefully gives you a really good overview of that resource in practice. You can also access the information on a PDF, which is printable, and you can save it, all those sorts of things, and it's all the same information there as well. So when you come back to the home page, you can also have a look at the research policy papers, blogs and videos. This page is a partner page to Odyssey and helps you to stay up to date with all of the latest blogs about digital technologies in career guidance, as well as looking at research and policy and videos of those digital resources. This is going to be continually updated, and we're really excited to be able to provide such an extensive overview of this area. That is a good example of Odyssey. Obviously, there's a lot to explore, and yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share that with you. So the structure of the Odyssey site, now that you've seen it, has been informed by the OECD Career Readiness Indicators Forms of Guidance. The OECD Career Readiness Project reviewed multiple national data sets to investigate how career-related aspects of teenage lives are associated with better adult employment outcomes. This quantitative data confirms 11 indicators of better outcomes linked to ways in which teenagers explore, experience and think about their potential futures in work. These indicators are at the heart of the way that we have structured Odyssey to make this as relevant as possible to the guidance, policy and practice community. So you can see here that for exploring potential futures in work, we have things like job fairs and career talks. For experiencing potential futures in work, virtual and even non-virtual work placements, and thinking about potential futures in work, we have things like skills assessment. We also added managing career guidance within schools category to look at things like online platforms. So I'm going to go through what we have on the Odyssey at the moment in terms of these career guidance forms. Remember, Odyssey is an evolving platform, and so we hope that we will fill in some of these gaps. You might be someone that works in one of those areas where you're using something that maybe other people could learn from. So for exploring, you can see the most prevalent three on Odyssey at the moment are accessing information or guidance, job fairs and career talks, and workplace visits. In terms of experiencing potential futures in work, we have examples from virtual and non-virtual work placements, but currently nothing in part-time work and volunteering at this stage. For the thinking about potential futures in work, again, a lot of case studies that do touch on this topic. We've got lots in preparation and reflection, as well as questionnaires. And finally, in the managing career guidance within school indicators, you can see there that we have quite a few. Odyssey is an international platform. Currently, we have examples of practice that are available or being used in 14 countries, and we have more case studies being processed even today from even more countries that will be released in the coming weeks and months. So we do encourage you to continue coming back to Odyssey to have a look at those new updated case studies. The final part of the structure of the case studies is the digital technologies that are being used. As we've mentioned, digital technologies are ever changing and continually changing and updating as they go. So we've chosen digital technologies that we knew were being used, as well as those that are on the frontiers of technology. So you can see that we have examples of case studies using virtual reality, gaming, artificial intelligence, social media, and video streaming. Now, before handing over to some of the authors of our case studies, I wanted to invite those of you that are developers and or users of digital tools in school career guidance to submit a case study. The link is directly on the Odyssey site, and we'll ask you for information about the program, the digital technology and how it works, how your program makes guidance more effective, efficient, and or equitable, and whether or it is government funded or endorsed by a school. We work with submitters to make sure the case studies are clear and helpful to all users of Odyssey. Now, that's it from me at the moment. What I might do is I might ask all of our contributors to turn their videos on so our audience can see. So I'm going to pass to them one by one, and then there's going to be a time for question and answer from the audience. So if you're on Zoom, please do put your questions about Odyssey and also about these examples of practice in the chat. And if you are on Facebook, you can do that in the comments and they'll be passed along to us. So it's my privilege to pass over to Beth Henderson, Learning Specialist at the Department of Education in New Brunswick, Canada, and Alex White, Project Coordinator from the Department of Post-Secondary Education, Training and Labour in Canada. They're going to share with us about the virtual reality career modules. This program allows students to experience different careers in virtual reality setting without having to leave the classroom. Through guided instruction, each module allows students to engage with several tasks, typically demanded by professions. I invite Beth and Alex to further explain. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. And so on behalf of myself and my colleague, Alex White, I just wish to acknowledge our gratitude for this opportunity. So this initiative supports the New Brunswick Education Career Framework that has been recently developed in collaboration with the OECD. The framework articulates the activities and experiences expected of early childhood to grade 12. And virtual reality and the use of digital tools is one of the ways that NB is working to provide each learner with equitable and inclusive career education and pathway planning. And so the past 3 years has allowed us the chance to refine our practice with using virtual reality as a career exploration tool for youth, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you today. Sorry, folks, I'm just going to make sure that I have shared my sample. Yes, very good. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started.
Great. So thanks, Beth. So I figured we'd start with just a quick, short overview on what brought us here today. So the virtual reality project really stemmed from an initial research study that was conducted on best practices on disseminating labor market information for youth. And so the results from this study showed that gamification of labor market information, as well as experiential learning opportunities, were highly effective methods of engaging students. So knowing this, back in 2020, we partnered with Career Labs VR, which is also a Canadian company that develops these career simulations. And we launched the pilot project in the schools with the help of these VR workstations, like is pictured here in the slide. So these are made up of a high-performance laptop and a VR unit. So throughout the project, we're actually able to collect student feedback and extract measurable outcomes as so to demonstrate the effectiveness of virtual reality as a career exploration tool. And we can go into that a little further into the presentation. But yeah, since the launch, the project has improved significantly through both process and content. To give you an example, we started the project with I believe 5 different simulations, and now we're almost at 30. So this list is continuously growing and expanding and giving more choices for students. Go ahead,
Great.
Beth.
So what is the problem that the VR project addressed? Well, essentially it was a problem with access to career exploration and experiential learning for our learners. So 50% of New Brunswick schools would be considered rural, which creates barriers for youth to engage in on-site experiential learning as the placement opportunity is simply not available. So also we experienced barriers with transportation to placements, and even in urban centers that becomes an issue, along with barriers with options to engage in certain industries such as heavy equipment operator and power line technician. So VR provides equitable access that is safe and relevant to and for all sorts of different career opportunities. As Alex shared, we're up to 30 different options at this point. So how does this work operationally? Well, it really is a collaboration between two government departments, and we each have a role to play. So Alex's role was with regards to the equipment, so the VR kits that he shared, the operating procedures as well as tech support. And our role at EECD was implementation, and that encompassed moving the kits, supporting the teachers with the rollout, and just ensuring that buy-in. Together, Alex and I work to ensure clarity. And so really in my role, it's creating the schedule and sharing the project with schools. And for both of us, we work with the learners and the teachers to understand really the goal is maximum usage and to have as many learners use the tool as possible.
Okay, so how does it work in practice within a school setting? So essentially when one of these schools receives a workstation, they're prompted to visit a virtual reality page that we developed on our website, so nbjobs.ca. And on there, they can consult a numerous amount of resources to support them with the project. So this would include, we have a procedure guide on there, kind of highlighting each step of the project. We have tech guides, setup videos to kind of help them get started and get going with the technology. And also module information. So if a student goes through a module and wants to know more information about a certain career, they can access these resources. And we have our occupational profiles that are linked, and it's information about career or wage data. There's educational requirements, anything you would have to know about that occupation, they can see the information there. And also we have video walkthroughs. So Beth is playing a video here of one of our simulations. It's the pipe fitter one. So within each one of these modules, there are typically around 3 or 4 different tasks that's being asked from the student that would be typically required from one of the professionals within that occupation. So each one of these modules range approximately 15 minutes to complete. Depending on the comfort level and experience from the student. We find a lot of students these days actually have a virtual reality unit at their house, so they're used to the technology, so their comfort level might be a little bit more than a student that's experiencing it for the first time. But like I said, it's approximately 15 minutes to complete one of these modules from start to finish. So actually, we could include some audio there, Beth, just to kind of showcase some of the instructions.
On the blueprint, there is one more step. Attaching a flange to the pipe you just cut, which will allow it to be connected to other pipes. Grab the flange next to the workbench. Attach the flange to the side you just cut. That looks good to me. We'll send you another pipe you'll need to cut in a moment. Now that you've got the basics down, I'll leave you to cut this pipe on your own. Be sure to check your blueprint for the specifications on how to make the cuts. I think you'll also need to attach a different kind of flange to one of the ends. It'll be a double-flanged butterfly valve, which are usually blue. I'll give you some feedback as you go.
So we'll just pause that there just to give you a little bit of a taste of what that is.
Yeah, so that's essentially what a student would see within the virtual headset. So it's really a firsthand experience trying out one of these careers. I'll let you go to the next slide there, Beth. Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we do collect data through survey collections. So once a student has completed one of these modules, they fill out just a quick short survey indicating any feedback they might have on their experience. So here's an example of one of the questions that is asked and some of the results that we've gotten through this current academic year. So it's just a quick question on their level of awareness on different pieces of labor market information. So these are the sort of measurables that we're able to capture through the project.
And so here's a few students that are using the VR kit that comes to their schools. So we in the province have 7 of these kits. 4 of them are in our Anglophone sector districts and 3 are in the Francophone sector. Each kit stays at a school between 6 to 8 weeks. The students really take the lead with setup and running the project at their school. So creating schedules and supporting other learners. In one of our rural schools, which had about 230 students, actually every learner there had a chance to use the kit before it moved on to another school. So we're really seeing high impact opportunities by having these kits in schools and really empowering our youth to be the drivers of this project. So to finish, advice that Alex and I would give to others who are considering this project is, first of all, to be patient. The first year was a learning curve for us as we ensured that schools saw the value in this tool. The second thing would be to be organized. We have a very clear schedule and schools know when to expect the kit so that they can operationalize it and also align with curricular outcomes. We've also created videos for the students and the teachers to view prior to receiving the kit so that when it arrives, they are ready to launch and to maximize the time that they have with it. And also our last piece would be to be clear, ensure everyone understands the common goal. Schools are very busy places with many different opportunities within them. And so we're very clear that this is a career development tool for our youth. And really our end goal is to ensure future ready learners. So thanks folks for the opportunity to share this with you today.
Thank you so much.
Many thanks, Beth and Alex, for giving us that taste of you. If people are interested, there's lots of questions, a lot of people saying this looks amazing in the chat. You can go to Odyssey and read more about the virtual reality career modules. We'd really encourage you to do that. The link to the website's there, so you can even have a look at what modules are there. But thank you, Beth and Alex, for that. Next up, I would like to introduce you to Riikka Ahonvala, the pedagogical advisor from the Economic Information Office in Finland. The Virtual Work Experience program in Finland, or Virtual TET, was set up in 2021 and gives students the possibility of completing their week-long work experience in a virtual space. Riikka will tell us more about that now.
Thank you, Alison, and what a great honor to be here and be part of this project. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for sharing my presentation. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Riikka Ahonvala and greetings from Talous ja Nuoret TAT, Economy and Youth TAT. I'm introducing you the world's biggest event related to working life, as we like to say it, Virtual TET, maailman suurin etätet. Next slide, please. We help young people develop, the other one back, please. Okay, thank you. We help young people to develop their skills in economics and working life and get excited about entrepreneurship. And how do we do that? We provide teachers with teaching materials. We have digital and physical learning environments for schools to use. And next one, please. A few words about our organization. We are a non-profit organization and our services include the whole country from south to north of Finland. And all our services are based on Finnish curriculum and they combine digitally gamification and engaging youth. And we reach annually more than 100,000 young people as well as their student counselors and teachers. Next, please. Today, I'm presenting one of our biggest events, Virtual TETs, ETATET. That comes from Finnish words familiarization with working life. It is included in our curriculum, and every 14 to 15-year-old teenager takes part in this period 2 times. Traditionally, this period takes 1 or 2 weeks when you are in real working place doing something concrete. But today we are talking about a virtual TED, which is carried out remotely. It was developed during the COVID pandemic when physical collaboration between school and work life was cancelled. Next. We, Economy and Youth, that together with Finnish industries wanted to provide something for the schools to continue with the work-life familiarization periods despite this challenging situation. Later, as the situation normalized, it was noticed that this kind of solution can still bring some added value to the work-life familiarization periods at schools by complementing physical work-life collaboration with a digital learning environment. It was seen to enable a wider network and more comprehensive look into work-life through introducing multiple industries, career paths, companies from all over Finland. Furthermore, there are always students who can't participate for some reasons in a normal work-life familiarization period in a specific physical learning environment. For those students, the virtual TED can be only one option. Virtual TED is also a great option if you don't know what field you are interested in. Virtual TED can also be seen as expanding possibilities of familiarization of work life as TED work placement. Participation is not tied to geographical location. Next. Here you can see that we reached the students from all over Finland. Last year we had over 6,000 participants online from 88 cities or municipalities and 272 schools. And I'm happy to say that we reach young people worldwide. We also had international Finnish schools from Tartu, Estonia, and Pattaya, Thailand. Next. So what happens during the virtual TED week? Here you can see the program of the week. We had 6 fields of industries producing content to the virtual TED week. This included company representatives' presentations about their field of industry, future working life competencies, career stories, and future opportunities, videos from companies, interviews, and kind of My Day videos from work life. Youth are interested in seeing what really happens on everyday work life, and the most popular My Day video was from VP Schenker's truck drivers video from Journey from Sweden. So we had 6 fields of industries, and from left to right we have on Monday Finance Finland, Tuesday Finnish Energy and Chemical Industry Federation of Finland, Wednesday Finnish Commerce Federation, Thursday Service Sector in Finland, and Friday the Finnish Hospitality MARA. Every day started at the same time, some breaks along the day, and we had altogether 6 fields of industries and 22 companies. Next, please. What is needed beforehand? Teacher takes care of registration. We have made some pre-lessons like 2 to 3 hours for preparing to the week, materials like assignments, printable reference form for students to use when they are applying, for instance, summer job. During the virtual TED, you need a computer, iPad or mobile phone, maybe a headset, internet connection. And if you are on a classroom, you need a smart board, computer and loudspeakers. And a possibility to take part a chat and Mentimeter or Kahoot polls. and you can attend at school, as a group, or at home. Next one, please. We have carried out virtual TED 2 times, and what we have learned, we have noticed that the interest towards the week is increasing among students, schools, and working life. We have also been invited to Finnish TV on national news, and the media has been very interested in our events. Pedagogy and guidance are needed in dialogue with companies to build a motivational content for 6 hours. We also have to guide company representatives how to speak when you are performing in front of teenagers. And about the content, teenagers are used to TikTok and quick changing content, so we must be aware of that. Now we are moving from ordinary studio to the green screen studio this year and have more virtual learning environments. That is something we are really excited about. We also have our own web page, and it's especially for the teachers information. Along the year, we add content like introduction of the fields of industries and companies, materials, and for schools and teachers. On the web page, we inform what to expect and when, about the program of the week, why to attend, and how to accomplish this week in my school. You can also find a register form to fill in, help and guidance for teachers and students. And the last one, what do the students think about the virtual TEDs? I believe they love it. Thank you.
Many thanks, Riikka. Really interesting to see, particularly that spread across Finland. I know a lot of people are talking about how virtual work experience coming out of COVID is a silver lining and really helpful for those that couldn't access that work experience in other ways. So thank you for your experience. Our third case study presented today is from France. It is my pleasure to introduce Christelle Meslay-Janin, who is the president and founder of Job IRL France. Job IRL has an e-mentoring program that has been operating since 2021 for lower secondary and upper secondary students in France. I invite Christelle to explain more about this program.
Thanks, Alison. I'm very pleased to be with you today, and it's really an honor for Job IRL to be with you today. I launched Job in real life 10 years ago with the desire to act for equal opportunities and to allow all young people from disadvantaged territories to build an ambitious and realistic career plan, because they face inequalities at 3 steps during their education, when they have to choose their career guidance, and when they get their first job, because they don't have network. So 10 years ago, I launched a social network, which is very wide now. So any young person in France now can exchange with professionals of all sectors to find out answers to their question about profession, sector of the future, and to find offer for internship or sandwich course. And we also develop a program in the field for high school, middle school, university, and we help more than 100,000 students per month. And 2 years ago, the French government decided to launch a very ambitious program for mentoring. So before at Job IRL, we don't have really mentoring because it was more one-time support via our platform. But we asked students and professionals if they were interested in getting involved in a mentoring program for a one-to-one and long-term relationship, almost 6 months. And answers were very positive. So we decided to launch the e-mentoring program for high school students and students from underprivileged suburbs and rural areas. So we launched the program, and I can show now it works now. I have some screens, so I will share the screen. Can you see?
Yes, we can see it. You just need to go to present.
So at the beginning, so we develop new functionalities on our platform. You can visit jobinreallife.com, and they can join the area dedicated to the e-mentoring. So mentee can fill in the form, and mentors can also fill in a form to join the program. After joining the program, they choose the type of missions they need support. So they can have support for the career guidance in the middle, if you don't read French. They can have a specific support on the left with Parcoursup. Parcoursup is the application process for post-secondary education in France. So it's very, I would say, tricky for French students because it's quite difficult to choose the university and to fill in all they have to do on that platform. And there is a third type of support for internship and apprenticeship if they need to find an offer, and it's very difficult for disadvantaged students. And we have some missions for each type of support. We define 6 missions to help mentors and mentees, because it's not always easy to help young people when you don't know how to do. So we define some mission to be very helpful with the team, I would say, with the mentor and the mentee. That's it for my presentation. So after, so we call them to define specific their aspirations, their skills, their involvement, and after we match the mentor and mentees with 2 criteria. One is the kind of support they want, and the second one is the sectors, because for us it's very important to have a professionals from the sector that the student want to join later in his career life. We have trainings for mentors because they have to understand their mission, the context, their position as mentor, because when you are a mentor, you are not a coach, a psychologist. It's completely different. It's not easy at the beginning to understand really the good position to have. Later, they can exchange via the platform with messages, with video conferences, with all the tools we developed. And we developed a lot of resources like an orientation test, some videos. We have a lot of offers for internship and work study. So they have many resources that is very specific for JobIRL, because we have the community. They can do interviews with professionals, with other students to understand jobs, the university, or the trainings. Though it's a 2-person team, but it's all the community of JobIRL who can help also the students. And we run some webinars every month for the mentors, because they need help to get advice about the career guidance, to get advice to write a resume, to prepare an interview. It's very important for us to give this advice. And sometimes we have some specialists like psychologists, because after the COVID, some mentors told us that their mentees suffered from psychological problems. So it's very useful for them to share and to share all together. So I would say that our advice to run the best e-mentoring program that we can, the first tips is to understand the needs of the public, because according to their age, to their difficulties, to their place of residence, it can be different. So we adapt always a follow-up, and we call every month the mentor, the mentee, to be sure that the relationship is good. Our second advice is to get the more efficient we can digital tools. So we have our platform, but it's very, very important to get a good back office to follow the mentor, the mentees, the relationship. So that's very, very important. To develop some partnership in territory, because thanks to our programs in France, we can have communication directly with the young people, and it's easy to motivate them to follow the mentoring program. The fourth advice is to have a dedicated team to follow the relationship, and they need very good listening qualities and very rigorous planning to follow the relation between the mentee and the mentors. The fifth advice is to have a personal and human matching, because we could have a matching with an algorithm on the platform, but for the moment, we have a human matching between the mentor and the mentee, because we have specific, I would say, feeling between the mentor and the mentees. And the last advice is to animate the community of mentors, because it's not easy to be a mentor. So trainings, webinars are very, very helpful for that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Christelle. I think that gave us a lot of information about what's behind an e-mentoring system, the positives, and again, that idea of the investment that you're putting into training the mentees and to matching with what students need in France. So thank you very much. Now we have our last contributor, but for those of you who are in the chat, please do ask questions, send them through to any of the contributors, to me about Odyssey. We're really here to answer your questions. So if you have a question, send it through and hopefully we can get to as many as possible. All right, our final contributor today is Deirdre Hughes. She is the founding director of Career Chat in the UK and associate professor at the University of Warwick. Deirdre will be sharing with us information about artificial intelligence, and how it is being utilised in career chatbots like CC. Over to you, Deirdre.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And I'd like to start by saying a huge congratulations to Anthony and the team for creating and delivering this wonderful repository for us to learn from and to share on an international level. So congratulations. I'm Deirdre, I'm from the UK, and I'm a careers specialist and a tech innovator. I've been working with an innovation team, a small team, on the design and implementation of CC, the careers chatbot powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. And what I'd like to do is give you a very brief background, a little bit of background, and then I'll do a very short presentation so that you can see CC in action. What does CC stand for? It stands for Careers Innovation and Careers Intelligence, because it's a chatbot that actually draws on large information sets and actually puts it all in one place, making it quick and easy to use. So very briefly, the background is that I spent 4 years working on a large European project investigating the use of ICT and career coaching in public employment services. And what I realized back in 2018, that no one was really talking about the use of AI in a career development or indeed career guidance specific context. It's underdeveloped and it's under researched. In 2020, I was very fortunate with the team to be awarded a national prize to take a seed of an idea. How could we provide trustworthy information and advice with a warm handover to a human advisor if the user actually felt that he or she needed that? We fast forward to 2023 and CC has been successfully customized and embedded within a UK and European university, looking at careers and employability support for people of all ages. But specifically in the context of youth, we have been working with a range of schools, multi-academy trusts, employability and careers providers, mostly in England, looking at how can we develop a chatbot that actually can be easy, quick and easy to use. So you may or may not have noticed, but I bounced out of the conversation slightly because all of a sudden my internet went down. So I'm really going to keep my fingers crossed. One, that you can all see my screen okay. And I just want to share with you that CC, the chatbot, I'm doing a very quick demo just to give you a flavor. But it can be accessed on a mobile phone, on an iPad, on a computer. It can be customized to a particular school or university or career setting, or it can be as simple as providing a QR code to a school or a college or a trust, and providing that QR code and a link. And I'll say a little bit more about that once I've done a very, very quick demo. I'm very mindful of time. So first of all, CC, one of the important factors was to ensure that it could be personalized. So I'm just going to put my name in here, Deirdre. It doesn't ask me for anything else other than, first of all, my name, and it reminds me that this is secure and it's a confidential conversation. It will ask me what age I am, simply because the information within the bot can be tailored to specific age groups. Also, it can ask me a whole series of questions. These are just some examples. So for example, it can ask me my gender and my ethnicity if I so wish. It's got some predictive text in here. So it will actually ask me, well, you know, where am I? And it will begin to learn automatically that I'm Deirdre, I'm in Derby, and I'm actually wanting some information here. So let me just very fast forward to, oh, sorry, bear with me. It's just asking me for a little bit of very quick feedback. I'll just say no. What I want to do is I want to show you two very, very specific aspects of this. Just bear with me. You'll see here that it's got a range of conversation flows. So I won't go into every one of these conversation flows, but really just to show you very quickly that if you're a teacher working in a school, often young people don't know what they want to do. And so CC will have within it a card sort exercise based on John Holland's typology, which many of us I'm sure will be very familiar with, where what it will do is it will begin to generate ideas for someone who really doesn't know what they want to do. I'm going through this very, very quickly. Just to show you. And here you'll see immediately what it will do is it will generate some ideas. It's telling me that I'm fairly artistic. And what it will do is it will give me some perhaps ideas of things I might want to look at. It'll tell me about qualifications. It'll begin to generate a few other ideas. And this is really all about career exploration. It'll give me an idea of what the average pay is and what the typical working hours are. Now, what we find, particularly in schools and also in universities and colleges, is that often students are actually just confused about their CV. And the careers advisors spend a lot of time actually helping people with their CVs. But CC, one of the things it can do is it can actually provide all sorts of help, quick and easy to use around your CV. I'm just going to give you an example here of often students will say, what sort of template should I use? Now they can download a Word template or they can actually switch to a video. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this video because of...
Can't quite hear it, Deirdre.
Okay. So I just want to illustrate very briefly, and I'm very happy if anyone wants to look at this in more detail, very happy to share that with you. But let me just sort of continue very briefly to just give you an idea now of if, for example, I want to do something else, let's say that maybe English isn't my first language. One of the problems that we were trying to solve was how could you make something quick and easy to use that young people, parents, and teachers could use? And CC solves a problem around for those people for whom English is not their first language. We can very quickly change the text to over 40 different languages. So let me just very briefly illustrate that to you. So you can see how immediately, how quickly CC will begin to change the conversation into Arabic. I'll just go back just briefly because I don't speak Arabic, but just to whet your appetite and give you an idea. So for example, we're using CC with a group of Ukrainian families in London who are actually in transition and wanting to find out about opportunities. You'll see here also that there's a text-to-speech function. So we believe that no one should be alone in their career exploration. And so for students with additional learning needs, then we can actually turn on the speech and you can actually hear CC talk. So I just wanted to sort of share that with you very, very briefly, and really just to illustrate the fact that whilst at the moment you can see here, for example, we might want to find out about jobs. Let's say I'm interested in social work. Part and parcel of what we're doing is trying to ensure that good principles of career guidance are here, that someone might want to be a social worker, but you could actually be a social work assistant, or you could be in a specialist field. So just to give you an idea, again, we've got videos built in where you can hear firsthand from a social worker. You can also hear about the pay, what's the latest pay, and whilst it says 2020, this is the very latest information from our Office for National Statistics. Skills are really important, particularly young people not knowing about the sorts of skills. So we have little diagrams that will help individuals think about the skills that might be needed. So for example, knowledge, skills, and abilities. We can begin to sort of look at, well, where could I find a job vacancy as a social worker? And here you can get an idea of it knows where I am in Derby as a city, and it's beginning to actually bring in job vacancies, which will take me immediately to a third-party site, and I can immediately apply for a job if I so wish to. And we can also begin to look at, well, what are the prospects for social workers in future years? Now, one of the things that we're doing at the moment is with the advent of and the explosion of large language models, we are beginning to look at how we can integrate the best of large language models into CC. But what we also know here in the UK that, for example, many young people want information on apprenticeships. They want to know, and parents want to know, and teachers want to know more about apprenticeships. So the idea is for bite-sized information. You could be on the bus going to school, or you could actually be just sitting at home watching Netflix on your TV, and you can explore career options at any stage. I'm very mindful of time, so I just want to stop really, and just to whet your appetite, I would just, if I may, just say that part and parcel of using AI is many people, and it's wonderful to see so many people excited by AI, but I think we also have to be scared to some extent with it in terms of thinking about how large language models can be used in the classroom. And really just to say that what we're doing as a team in the UK is we're making careers information and advice accessible. We have an option for the person to speak to a human advisor if they so wish, and they can do that by linking in with a register of professional careers advisors here in the UK. And more recently, what we have done, with schools involved and colleges and universities is we have formed a super user group to examine the use of large language models. And the question for every one of us here is whether career chatbots is suitable really for services. You know, how can we use large language models within chatbots for what type of users? And here in the UK, we're on a journey looking at indicators and benchmarks, guardrails that we could put around the use of large language models. So finally, my final slide is just to say that behind the bot, you can see that there is a dashboard. This dashboard is very iterative and dynamic. We can begin to tell schools what are the occupations that young people and teachers and parents are searching for. We can look at some of that demographic. We can actually look at not just who was unique to using the bot or returns, but what time of the day people use it. And isn't it fascinating that this is a school careers chatbot and someone at 11 o'clock or indeed at 3 a.m. in the morning is using CC with that inbuilt handover to an advisor. I do hope that what I have managed to do is to whet your appetite. My team will probably say I haven't done justice to CC because I've just taken you through a very brief whistle-stop tour. But I think for pedagogy and for career guidance, what we have to do is we have to embrace artificial intelligence. And I'm delighted to say that CC is providing schools in England with QR codes, with links, with lesson plans for teachers in looking at how you can use large language models complemented by a career chatbot like CC. And more than happy if anyone would like to reach out and get in touch to share our learning. We're on a journey. We don't have all the answers, but we're very excited about the work that we've been doing. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Deidre. It was really great to see CC in practice live. A lot of people in the chat are mentioning how, linking AI to real life and having that link being built in, as well as addressing the problem, the situation with Ukrainian refugees in the country, and that being super useful that you can translate it. So thank you very much. We've come to our time of questions. So I'm going to ask all of our presenters if you could turn your videos on and leave them on, just because we would like to see if you're hearing the questions. And I'm pass to Anthony. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alison, and thank you, everybody. We've got a bunch of questions which have come through in terms of the chat here, and thank you for those. I'm going to try and kind of pull together 2 or 3 which are from maybe looking at related areas, and then ask as many as I can. Some are quite specific, but some are quite broad. Deirdre, let's start with you because you had a couple of specific questions. One was about the data sources which the chatbot is connecting to. What are they? What are the issues in connecting to those, to those sources?
Well, there's a roadmap on our website, careerchat.uk, and you can see specifically which sources that we're using. We are drawing largely on government quality assured data, such as the Office for National Statistics, ASH data, which is around salary, pay, etc., to name but a few. In the UK, we have something called LMI for All, which is a government initiative which has been around looking at application program interfaces. There's a widget that you can connect the chatbot to, and that allows us to actually draw down a whole range of different sources of information. The interesting piece is the experimental work that we're doing now in England around how could we put some guardrails around large language models? Could we create benchmarks or indicators that would help us know that the sources of information, which are good in some of the large language models, can be separated out from some of the deviant behavior that we find in things like ChatGPT and Bing and Bard and these other things.
Excellent. And just one other question for now, which is around, you mentioned that there were schools using this resource. Are they integrating the chatbot into their own websites? So is this becoming a school resource? Is that something that schools are using in order to perhaps gather information before they might see a guidance counsellor?
It's a great point to note, Anthony. My vision and that of the team is that every school should have embedded their own careers chatbot on their school website. And we're not there in England with that, largely because schools do not have any ring-fenced dedicated funding for career guidance. So this is very much reliant on schools, if you like, being curious and willing to do that. One school to watch for is called the Bemrose School in Derby, where we're doing some very interesting work with the head teacher, with teachers and with parents. So I think the vision is there. And if we look at the university sector, Arden University have embedded CC customized within their careers offer. And I'm sure that other universities will follow. We're working with a number of them. But my passion is around schools and how can we make careers guidance more equitable, available 24/7, regardless of who you are, where you live, your status. And I do believe that chatbots present a wonderful opportunities for dialogue with parents, with teachers, and with students themselves. And most fundamentally, what I've learned from the work in schools is that Bemrose School, for example, want us to embed some questions so the students can answer them. So not only will the dashboard tell us what occupations young people are searching for, it will also give us some insight to how young people are feeling about their career readiness and their exploration. And we'll be publishing some papers on this later this year.
Yeah, we're going to know from our work on PISA, where we asked 15-year-olds around the world about their plans for the future, that the career plans of students tend to be very concentrated, tend to be very narrow. And so to have a mechanism within a school to find a very quick way of understanding what students are interested in and how, potentially probably how narrow that is, before, while you're planning a program of guidance is going to be very useful. Let me turn to you, Christelle. Thank you so much for telling us about the e-mentoring program, which is growing very rapidly in France. I was kind of wondering about, finding mentors. Do you use digital technologies in some ways to find mentors, or and how can you be sure that they're going to be right for this sort of relationship?
Yeah, to be sure we have a right relationship. That's why we call every month. That's why it cannot be only a digital relationship. And that's why we call the mentor when they join the program. That's why we call the mentor every month to be a right relationship, as you said. And we call also the mentees because we want to know if they are happy of the relation, if it's okay for both of them.
And have you compared the mentoring relationship which might take place in real life against an e-mentoring relationship?
Yes.
And what sort of differences do you see between the two?
Yes, very different. The benefits of the remote relationship, it's easy to connect a professional in Paris with a student in Marseille or in a rural area. So for geographical issue, it's very easy, even for sectors, because if the student dream to work close to the sea or in I don't know, in Navy, and he live in the mountains, he can exchange with a professional. So it's very good for that. It's sure that it's always more efficient, be it in the real life. That's why the name of job, our early job in real life, it's to meet people in the real life and to know the reality of jobs, the reality of trainings, everything. So some of our mentors and mentees, sometimes they meet in the real life and they can decide to have some meetings all together. But it's easy for professionals to have digital meetings because we are all in the rush. We all have agenda very busy. So 1 hour every week, every 2 weeks in your agenda, if it's only digital, it's easy. When you have to take the subway it's more difficult to have a relation. And if we want to have a wide program, the digital solution, it's nice because it's easier to find some mentors because it's less time consuming.
Absolutely. And how do you make sure that the students are safe?
That's always the beginning of my answer, because we call the mentor, we call the mentee. Yes, and yeah, so it's we cannot do more than that. It's sure, and but we can do that, and we do it, and so and at the beginning when we call the mentee, we explain to the mentee that in case of I would say bizarre talking, he can call you and say yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Christelle. We
you.
really appreciate your time today. And you can find Christelle's case study as Deirdre's case study on Odyssey. Let me turn to Finland. And Rika, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'd like to ask you, and in turn actually ask our colleagues in New Brunswick, Canada, about the comparison between, traditional, kind of like face-to-face work experience placements and the virtual experience. Do you think they are fundamentally the same things, or do they offer something which is different? Would you advise students to do both a traditional placement and do a virtual placement? What's your feeling in that in the comparison between the two?
Yeah, good question. I think it's very important that the youngsters, teenagers, they go to the real working places and get to know the working life. But I think this our model can give you something more. If you have some, for instance, physical disability or something, you are living in countryside, it's impossible for you to go to a workplace. So this gives you more possibilities to take part in that working life familiarization period.
And I suppose in both experiences, you're undertaking tasks and you're working to a supervisor. And so we have a very real comparison between the two in terms of what it's like to be in a workplace.
Sorry, I didn't maybe hear or understand that.
So in both of these situations,
yes, yeah,
I think we would agree with you that doing both virtual and real, so work placements are advisable. But in both, the thing is that somebody's doing tasks, they're doing jobs. They're doing something they're being told to do, and they have a supervisor which has expectations of them. And do you find that in the virtual world that students feel that this is as serious as it would be in the real world?
Of course, it's different, but we have come with the solution that in virtual sets, the companies can still give an assignment for the students, like something related to social media or something, do some research about the companies. So it's not the same, but it's something like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And your example is available on Odyssey. So let me turn now to Canada and to Beth and to Alex. And again, a question for you is about the comparison of the virtual world with the real world. So how can you be sure or confident that when students use the virtual reality, they're getting a realistic experience of what it's like to work in these different professions?
Yeah, so I guess when they're created, these career modules, they're we use subject matter experts, so essentially people in the industry to help develop the environment, the tasks, things like that, just to make that make the task realistic and truthful to the occupation. But by no means does this mean to replace the real life aspect to it. If anything, it's to complement and maybe be an experience that you would do prior to visiting a real work site. So it's really to pique that interest. So with this, they could potentially be trying 15, 20 different occupations within a couple hours, opposed to visiting 15 or 20 work sites trying different things. So it's really to complement and support real life job co-op programs and job shadowing, things like that.
Mm. It's especially exciting, I think, in Canada, that so many of the virtual reality experience are in skilled trades, which use heavy equipment on dangerous work sites where 15, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds could never go in real life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes it much more accessible for those reasons specifically. There's no way where you can convince anyone to let a student drive an excavator to try out digging out a ditch or something like that. So to give them that firsthand experience as closely as possible, there are limitations to the technology. There's always things that won't be able to be captured. With trades occupations, it's a little bit easier, it's hands-on, but there's also other occupations that are largely communication based that is a little bit more difficult to capture with a virtual reality setting. So there are limitations. That's why we package this as an initial, try this out. Does this pique your interest? Okay, here's more information. This is where you can go next. So it's not meant to replace anything.
No,
Right.
and to follow that as well, Alex, I appreciate all the points that you've made, but to align as well to our other colleagues, most folks have shared that their initiatives have helped to create more of a realistic environment to what learners are looking to now, which is more of an immediate environment. And so what the VR is allowing us to do is when a student is considering a potential career path, that they can immediately engage in a small simulation, 15 minutes, to see what that could look like in real life. And that is really wonderful for our learners, because it's really that just-in-time learning strategies for them, so that if they're considering, I wonder what it would be like to be a lab technician, they can put the VR headset on and experience that, knowing that it's a virtual situation, but they can see what that environment would be like. And what we've really seen is that it's translated to students really being more engaged in a real world situation, because they've had a taste of that in advance of being in the placement. And even allowing them the opportunity to ask good questions when they arrive, because they've had a little bit of that experience previous to the real world opportunity.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Beth, and thank you, Alex, and thank you to all our presenters. Thank you, Alison. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes who's helped this launch webinar work today and helped us in creating the observatory. Thank you to all the contributors, the submitters of case studies. We would encourage others, if you are developers or users of digital resources, which you think others might find useful. Alison, if you can put up the final slide. And we'll just remind you there about how to find out about where we are and indeed stay in touch. So please visit Odyssey today, have a look around, see what you can find. Be aware that there's about 20 studies at the beginning, as well as a range of research reports and videos and blogs, which we've identified as being particularly helpful and wanted to share. But we're going to be adding content all the time. We have another 20 which are in process. It takes a bit of time. We have to go back and forth to make sure we get it right. If you're interested in how digital technologies are being used, think about coming along to our free online conference at the end of this month. We have a number of sessions which are about use of digital resources in career guidance, as well as a whole range of different aspects. This is all guidance aimed at young people, I should stress. That's where the Education Directorate, that's our focus. Visit our web pages where you can find out more about our wider research. And you can stay in touch. You can email the Odyssey team or you can join our general mailing list, career.readiness at the OECD.org. And every month we send up an update about what's happening on Odyssey, the research papers which we're putting out. You can follow me. You can follow the OECD education things. Follow me on LinkedIn. We can all be connected. We love to be able to connect with the community. And so with that, we're going to come to an end. Thank you all, for joining us. Clearly there's a lot of interest in digital technologies. There are more than 500 people on the webinar today. And we know that there's many others who are going to be very interested in the video, because we had a lot of extra people saying they're interested to us. But with that, we're going to come to an end. Let me wish you all a good afternoon, a good evening, a good morning, or even a fine lunch, if that's what you have in order. So thanks very much. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.